Hey, and welcome back to Your Brain Lied. Today we're diving into something I think a lot of us struggle with, especially now. The nagging feeling that we're just lazy. But what if that feeling is a big, fat lie? What if what we think is laziness is actually something else entirely? Something deeper, more complex, and frankly, more deserving of our compassion. Let's talk about the tricky difference between true laziness and good old-fashioned exhaustion, and how we can start untangling the two. Because let's be real, burnout culture is a monster, and it's stealing our energy left and right. So laziness, right? We all know the feeling. It's that voice in your head that whispers, or sometimes shouts, "You should be doing this. Why aren't you doing this? You're just being lazy." It's the feeling of guilt when you scroll through social media instead of tackling that project, or when you order takeout again instead of cooking a healthy meal. We tend to think of laziness as a character flaw, a lack of willpower, or just plain not caring enough. We might beat ourselves up for it, promise to do better tomorrow, and then rinse and repeat. But what if that inner critic is completely wrong? What if the reason you're avoiding those tasks isn't because you're inherently lazy, but because you're running on fumes? Think of your energy like a bank account. You make deposits, sleep, healthy food, enjoyable activities, and you make withdrawals, work, stress, difficult relationships. If you're constantly withdrawing more than you deposit, eventually your account is going to be empty. That empty account isn't laziness, it's exhaustion. Now let's talk about what exhaustion really feels like. It's not just feeling tired, though that's definitely part of it. It's more like a deep, bone-weary kind of fatigue that doesn't go away with a single night's sleep. It's feeling mentally foggy, struggling to concentrate, and having a shorter fuse than usual. You might find yourself snapping at loved ones, feeling irritable, or just generally overwhelmed by everything. Exhaustion can also manifest physically. Maybe you're experiencing headaches, muscle tension, or digestive problems. You might be getting sick more often because your immune system is weakened. And here's the kicker: exhaustion can actually look like laziness. When you're depleted, even simple tasks can feel monumental. The thought of starting a new project, responding to emails, or even just doing the dishes can feel utterly overwhelming. So you avoid them. Not because you want to, but because you literally don't have the energy to do them. Think about it like this. Imagine you're driving a car with a nearly empty gas tank. You know you need to get to the gas station, but the car is sputtering and struggling. Every little hill feels like a mountain. You might even start to feel anxious about driving, worried that you'll run out of gas completely. In this scenario, are you lazy for not getting to the gas station? No, you're just dealing with a car that's running on empty. Your body and your brain are the same. They need fuel to function properly, and when they don't get it, they're going to start sputtering. So, how do we tell the difference between laziness and exhaustion? Well, one of the biggest clues is your motivation. When you're truly lazy, you might still want to do something, but you just can't be bothered. The task itself doesn't seem inherently difficult or unpleasant. You just don't feel like it. But when you're exhausted, the thought of doing the task fills you with dread. It feels like an insurmountable obstacle, and you might even experience physical symptoms like anxiety or nausea when you think about it. Another clue is your past behavior. Have you always struggled with motivation and follow-through, or is this a relatively new phenomenon? If you've always been a high achiever, someone who tackles challenges head-on, and suddenly you're finding yourself constantly procrastinating and avoiding things, that's a strong that you're dealing with exhaustion, not laziness. Let's look at some relatable scenarios. Imagine someone named Sarah. Sarah used to love her job as a graphic designer. She was creative, energetic, and always eager to take on new projects. But lately, she's been feeling completely drained. She stares at her computer screen for hours, unable to come up with any new ideas. Deadlines are looming, and she's constantly behind. She starts avoiding her work, scrolling through social media, and feeling guilty about her lack of productivity. Is Sarah lazy? Probably not. She's likely experiencing burnout, a form of exhaustion caused by chronic workplace stress. Now, let's say there's a guy named Mark. Mark has always been a bit of a procrastinator. He knows he needs to clean his apartment, but he always finds something else to do instead. He tells himself he'll do it later, but later never comes. He's not particularly stressed or overwhelmed, he just doesn't feel like cleaning. In this case, Mark might be dealing with some level of laziness or lack of motivation. It doesn't mean he's a bad person, but it does mean he might need to work on developing some strategies for overcoming procrastination. It's important to acknowledge that sometimes it can be a little of both. We might be genuinely exhausted, but also have some underlying patterns of avoidance or procrastination that contribute to the problem. The key is to be honest with ourselves and to approach the situation with compassion, not judgment. Beating yourself up for being lazy when you're actually exhausted is like kicking a car that's already out of gas. It's not going to help. So, what can we do about it? First, we need to start prioritizing rest and recovery. This might seem obvious, but it's often the first thing we sacrifice when we're feeling overwhelmed. We tell ourselves we don't have time to rest, that we need to keep pushing through. But that's like driving a car with an empty gas tank, expecting it to go farther. It's not sustainable. Rest doesn't just mean sleeping more, though that's definitely important. It also means taking breaks throughout the day, doing things that you enjoy, and disconnecting from technology. Maybe it's taking a walk in nature, reading a book, listening to music, or spending time with loved ones. The key is to find activities that help you recharge your batteries and feel more grounded. Another important step is to set realistic expectations for yourself. In a culture that glorifies overwork and constant productivity, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to do too much. We need to learn to say no to things that don't align with our values or that will simply drain our energy. This can be difficult, especially if we're people pleasers or perfectionists, but it's essential for protecting our energy and preventing burnout. Think of your time and energy as a precious resource. You have a limited amount of it, and you need to spend it wisely. Before you commit to something, ask yourself, is this something I truly want to do? Or am I doing it out of obligation or guilt? If it's the latter, it might be time to politely decline. We also need to address the underlying stressors that are contributing to our exhaustion. This might involve making changes to our work environment, setting boundaries with difficult people, or seeking professional help for issues like anxiety or depression. It's not always easy to change our circumstances, but even small steps can make a big difference. Maybe it's talking to your boss about reducing your workload, delegating tasks to others, or finding a therapist to help you manage stress. The important thing is to take proactive steps to address the root causes of your exhaustion, rather than just trying to cope with the symptoms. And finally, let's talk about the power of self-compassion. When we're feeling exhausted, it's easy to fall into a spiral of self-criticism and shame. We beat ourselves up for not being productive, for not meeting our own expectations, and for not being good enough. But this only makes things worse. It's like adding insult to injury. Instead, try to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend who is struggling. Acknowledge that you're going through a tough time, that you're doing the best you can, and that it's okay to not be perfect. Self-compassion is not about making excuses for yourself or letting yourself off the hook. It's about recognizing your own humanity and treating yourself with kindness, especially when you're feeling vulnerable. So what are the key takeaways here? Number 1, recognize the difference between laziness and exhaustion. Pay attention to your motivation, your past behavior, and your physical and emotional symptoms. Number 2, prioritize rest and recovery. Make time for activities that help you recharge your batteries and feel more grounded. And number 3, practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, especially when you're feeling exhausted. And here are a few reflection questions to ponder this week. When you feel the urge to call yourself lazy, ask yourself, what's really going on here? Am I truly unmotivated, or am I running on empty? Consider keeping a simple energy journal for a week. Jot down activities that drain your energy versus activities that give you energy. Are there patterns? Finally, think of one small act of self-compassion you can practice today. Maybe it's taking a break, saying no to a request, or simply giving yourself permission to relax. I hope this episode has helped you shed some light on the difference between laziness and exhaustion and given you some practical tools for reclaiming your energy. Remember, you're not alone in this. We all struggle with these feelings from time to time. Be kind to yourself, listen to your body, and prioritize your well-being. Thanks for tuning into Your Brain Lied. I'll catch you next time. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.